Confidently controversial. Confidently controversial. Confidently controversial.
All right, hello and welcome to
Confidently
Controversial. Hi, Kim.
Hey, Emily. How are you today?
I'm doing well. I'm very happy to be here with you.
And I am happy to be here with you.
On the best show ever, Confidently Controversial. I am Emily Paul, and you are Kim Tweed.
Yes.
And you are my best friend, and I am your best friend. And we get together and we talk about, we rewatch the movies of our youth, so you don't have to. So the listeners don't have to if they don't want to.
Although I have heard that people want to.
Yeah, I have heard that as well. I hear that the movies that we've reviewed, I don't know if we're reviewing them necessarily. We're just watching them and sometimes being appalled, sometimes being inspired, but overall...
Inspired.
Which of the movies that we've watched so far do you feel like has inspired you the most?
Inspired me the most? Probably Pretty Woman. I should have been a prostitute.
Maybe. You definitely would have had a heart of gold, and that would have helped you in your efforts.
A super nice sex worker.
You would have been.
Yeah.
You would have been a super nice sex worker.
So.
People would have walked away from their interactions with you like, wow.
Wow.
She was very
feel
nice.
Inspired now.
I'm going to change my life.
That's right.
And do better things with it. So we get together, we talk about those movies, and every week we each take turns picking the movie.
And it's your turn.
It is, and I got to tell you, I have been on the struggle bus.
I know you kind of mentioned earlier this week that you were deliberating about your movie.
I've gone back and forth several different times throughout the week. And today took a complete, so before these movies, we do a little bit of research, we learn a little bit more about them, we try and find out some interesting facts to share. So before I was getting ready to do that, I started the day with one movie, and I'm like, this is the movie I'm going to do.
This day?
Today.
Okay.
I started this day with one movie that I was going to do. I had already kind of started to pull together things, but I wasn't feeling it.
Okay.
I just wasn't feeling it. And I think that the reason why it's so hard to pick a movie is because, first of all, I don't want to let down you.
Please don't.
And second of all, I don't want to let down the people.
Right.
Because I feel like I want them to listen. And, I also, try and take into consideration, what are the other movies we've done? What's the episode before this? What are some areas maybe we haven't looked at yet? But then I also need to find a movie that I have a connection to.
Sure, yes. I mean, you can't be connected to all the movies, but yes, I agree. And I think too, it's a little harder now because the podcast is out there. More people are listening to it. So I think there's a little bit of pressure built up as we watch people listen, and we can kind of see what you guys like and what you don't necessarily like.
And we also have people who reach out to us and they tell us about movies we should do.
Yes.
And they'll say, well, why haven't you done this one? And I can't believe you haven't done this movie yet.
Right. And we're like, we've only done 10.
Right. So it's a lot of pressure.
Right.
So I really wanted to pick a movie that was fun.
Yay.
So I was trying to think, just what is a movie that I remember from being young that was just a fun movie that I always liked to watch whenever I ran into it.
Can I guess?
Yes.
I don't know why. This just popped into my head. If this is it, I'm going to shit my pants.
And I'm going to go home.
I would want that, yes.
I think we both would if that happened. What's your guess?
Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
No.
Okay.
But that movie, we're going to talk about that movie another time. That would have been a really good choice.
It's the most fun movie of our youth.
And yet I categorize that as a scary movie.
You do?
I do. Large Marge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my husband actually asked me who Large Marge was the other day because I said to him, tell him Large Marge sent you. And he was like, who's Large Marge? I was like, get out of my house.
Yeah, that movie used to really scare me at that part. So,
okay.
Yeah.
I understand.
It's not pure fun for me. Fun for me.
All right.
So this movie that we're going to talk about, also I was inspired by the summer because we are in summer. That is the season. And, you know, I was thinking about, I wanted something like a fun summer movie. So I was going down that path. So this movie is a 1986 movie.
Ooh, 1986.
1986, but I definitely did not watch it in 1986 because my recollection of this movie is my sister, there were movies that my sister could watch, that she would go to sleepover parties and she would watch, and then she would come back and she would like tell us about them. So I feel like I had images in my brain of what this movie was before I ever got to see this movie.
Nice. Okay.
So this was one of those movies that I really, really was excited to be able to see. I have no idea how old I was when I finally did see it for the first time, but I do know that it was a movie that throughout my youth into my teenage years would always watch it whenever it was on TV or anything else. I feel like it was probably on like Comedy Central on the regular.
Right.
I actually think a lot about watching it with my brother.
Okay.
More than my sister. And so it's just a really fun movie. So 1986, yes. Even though it was a fun movie, I guess it didn't do well at the time.
Of course not.
Yeah, it did okay. We'll say it did okay. I will read you a quote from someone who reviewed it at the time. A Miss Nina Darnton of the New York Times said of this movie, "In spite of the director's flair for zany humor, this film is just absurd."
Zany humor. I'm excited.
Gotta be zany. Gotta be zany. So this movie was directed by Savage Steve Holland.
Okay.
Have you ever heard of him before?
No, never.
Okay, so I did not know that this was a claim to fame of his, but do you remember the show Press Your Luck?
Yes,
okay.
Of course.
So Press Your Luck, no whammies, no whammies,
Game
no whammies.
show, yes.
But if you got a whammy, what would happen? And then what?
And then a little whammy guy would come up.
Yeah, like a little animated whammy guy. This guy animated the whammies.
Oh, so talented.
And zany. So he directed other movies with, you know, that you'll know and love, with John Cusack, who is in this movie.
Oh, yay.
We haven't watched any John Cusack movies yet, and we love him, and this movie is certainly one of the movies that you know, I do love him in this movie.
Oh, so did he do the animation in this movie?
He did some animation. Do you know what this movie is?
One Crazy Summer.
One Crazy Summer. That's what we're going to watch.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited.
I didn't know if you had seen this movie.
Oh, yes, I've seen this movie many times.
Okay,
yes,
okay.
Yes.
So
Hoops.
Hoops! So you have John Cusack. You have Demi Moore.
Yes.
Right? This is our second Demi Moore movie. You had Bobcat Goldthwait. You had Booger, I should have written down his real name, because his name is not Booger.
No, but it is Booger.
It is Booger. He was from Revenge of the Nerds. And then also Joel Murray, who is the younger brother of Bill Murray, is in this movie.
Okay, yes.
So I'm going to read you just a little synopsis of what this movie is, even though you know. But here's just a little synopsis.
Okay,
so Hoops, I said, McCann isn't going to be a great basketball player, but wants to be a cartoonist. He joins his friends on a summer trip to Nantucket, and hijinks ensue as they help a runaway rock star protect her grandfather's house from the greedy Burkerstead family and perhaps find love.
Perhaps.
Oh. Yeah, so very excited about this one.
This movie has so much stuff in it. Like, as you said it's all coming. The regatta race that they have, the sports car, all of the
so many things
in the pool.
Oh, I didn't even think of that one. But yeah, and that's why I feel like my sister saw it and she talked about it, and then because there's so much in this movie.
Yeah, it has a lot.
There's so much, and I feel like that's why I was always thinking of it before I actually saw it. So, yeah, Savage Steve Holland directed, before this, he directed Better Off Dead, which also John Cusack. He also directed another great film, How I Got Into College.
I don't know.
Do you remember that
movie.
one?
No.
Oh, it's a good one.
Okay.
That's on a list, because that's one. These movies were all flops with the critics, though I love all of them.
People didn't love Cusack.
John Cusack was in Better Off Dead and One Crazy Summer, but not How I Got Into College. And I wonder, because I read that when this movie was made, the two were fighting. They were mad at each other, and they really didn't get along during the filmmaking. And it was because John Cusack was really disappointed with how poorly he felt Better Off Dead came out really poorly, and it was panned with the critics. So he kind of lightened up again because this fit by the end, because this film got, cult following, and both of those movies have cult followings. So he kind of, but after this movie, he never spoke to the director ever again. Jeez. And I kind of wonder with the three movies, because How I Got Into College is certainly in the same milieu.
Was it intended for him, do you think?
I was just thinking that, because it's also like the guy who's the lead in it could certainly have been, it was another kind of John Cusack-esque guy is the lead, and then the female lead is Daphne Zuniga.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Great movie. But not this movie that we're watching today. No. We are watching today One Crazy Summer. So this was also Jeremy Piven's first film debut.
Yes.
Did you know that he was John Cusack's roommate?
No, I did not.
So Joel Murray, who's like the best friend in this movie, thought that Jeremy Piven was going to get that role because he was close with John Cusack, but he did not get the role.
This is
Jeremy
like
Piven.
peak Cusack's time too, because this was pre-Say Anything, I assume.
Yeah, he's younger in this.
Yes.
But definitely in the same, like within, I'd say there was like a decade of Cusack, but he's had a great career. I mean, he's done really
so many things.
Yeah, we love him.
We love him.
Also, we both mentioned the character name Hoops McCann. So that is a reference from a Steely Dan song called Glamour Professor. And Steely Dan itself is a reference to a dildo in the book Naked Lunch by William S. Burroughs. And I hate all of that. I hate all of those facts.
You didn't have to tell everybody about it.
I know, but like Steely Dan.
Yeah.
So we're going to watch this movie.
I'm excited.
I'm excited to watch it as well. Did you watch it when you were younger?
Yes. I don't know how young, but I've watched it. I've seen it a lot.
Yeah, I've seen it a lot,
a ton of times. It was on TV a lot.
I feel like it was on Comedy Central.
Mm-hmm, probably.
Yeah.
And so I do remember it a lot. I remember a lot about the movie. There was like some sort of bar or something like that, and they're trying to get people to come see her music.
Yeah, there's something like that happens.
And then it's very like a classist thing. They're like the poor, lowly people.
Because they're going to take her granddad's house.
Right, and then there's the rich people, and they're kind of in a war against them, and that's what the crux of the movie is.
Sorry, we're always talking about cruxes. I'm telling you, I think you said we need to get a T-shirt that says, it's the crux.
It's the crux.
It's the crux. So yeah, class warfare is the crux.
It is.
Of this film that we're going to watch today. I feel like this is the kind of movie that anytime it was on, I certainly watched it. Like, I've watched this movie many times.
Yes.
For sure.
Yeah, it's very campy. It's very silly. Bobcat Goldthwait, you can't have a serious movie with him in it. No. So yeah. All right. I'm excited. Let's do it.
Let's do it. All right. So we're going to go watch the movie, and we will be right back to talk about it.
Confidently controversial. Confidently controversial.
We're back. All right. That movie was a frickin' delight.
It really was. It was very, as that woman said, absurd.
I know. But you know what the moral of the story was? The best investment?
Friendship.
Kim, I'm so pleased by this entire movie.
Oh, excellent choice, first of all.
Well, thank you. I struggled.
It's so interesting to watch these movies because you just watch them in a totally different way than you're used to watching them, and you just pick up so many more things, I think, that you've never really noticed before.
Absolutely. I feel like there's so many things in this movie that, while I remembered a lot of it, as it was going, I feel like I remembered more of it than I thought I did. So much happens in this movie.
everything happens in this movie.
It's crazy. I mean, the laughs per minute in this movie, it's like nonstop. It's so funny. It's so just... It's great.
Over the top.
It's over the top.
And it's silly, and it's goofy, and it's very... it just makes me wonder, too, like how you said about John Cusack being mad that it didn't do that well.
Yeah, well, I think John Cusack takes himself a little too seriously. I mean, this is just my opinion of John Cusack, that I feel like I can talk about him because
Dear John Cusack, that is Emily's opinion, and Emily's opinion only.
Sure. This is not the opinion of the podcast, my personal opinion. I just feel like, come on, John, don't take yourself too seriously. This is a really funny movie.
And he's not necessarily... I guess he hasn't proven to be necessarily a comedy actor. He's always very much the straight man in all of these movies that are just kind of chaos around him.
Yes, but I also think... do you follow any of his social media? Have you ever followed his social media?
I used to, I believe. I think I may have unfollowed him.
Yeah, because he's really,
passionate.
Serious.
Yes.
He's passionate. He's serious. I don't dislike him.
No.
I mean, I don't... I'm going to go out on a limb. I love you, John Cusack. I'm sorry what I said before. I just think that sometimes you just need to take the piss out and laugh.
And this movie does.
And this movie does. All right, so we learned so many things during this movie.
What did we learn?
First, we learned that Kim loves Bobcat Goldthwait.
I do. If you asked me 2 hours ago, what are your feelings on Bobcat Goldthwait? I would have been like, meh, I think it's a little much.
I know. Well, it's funny because I actually started writing down when he first came up. I was like, what's the deal with Bobcat Goldthwait?
Hold on, wait. You have to look at my search history on my phone because I believe I searched exactly that phrase. What's the deal with Bobcat Goldthwait?
That's hysterical. But as it went on, I mean, he's just great. I mean, he won me over.
Yes.
I wrote, what's the deal with Bobcat? Was he funny?
Right. Yeah, we have to stop. We have to pause here for a second and talk about this because
he was big.
He was very popular. And he's like a man with Tourette's.
Is that what he's doing?
I don't know. Is that... now I'm talking like him. I don't know.
But I remember because he was also in Police Academy,
yes.
And he was around during that time. He famously got kicked off of was it Letterman, where he lit the couch on fire or something.
Oh, okay.
He also used to I know he used to open for Nirvana.
Oh.
So I feel like he was kind of punk rock or something.
Uh-huh.
But he has that voice.
Kind of punk rock.
That's
what you think of when you think of punk rock.
But I don't know. You know who he's good friends with?
Who?
Dana Gould.
And he's passed away, right? Bobcat Goldthwait?
He has not passed away.
Are you sure?
I'm very sure. He's a director now. He directs things. He almost died with Dana Gould. They were doing a tour, and they got in a serious car accident, and they almost died. And then they made a documentary, and I think they talk a lot about that. They were touring together, and then they made a thing about that, which I haven't seen, but I'm a big fan of Dana Gould.
Who am I thinking of that's dead?
There's so many people who are dead, Kim. So many people are dead.
Yeah.
You know who is dead?
Who?
The other brother in this.
No.
Yeah.
The one that made you cry a little bit?
Stop. Yeah, the other brother, he was also in My Girl. He's tall, kind of handsome. He died of AIDS in the mid-90s. Yeah.
He was funny, too.
He was really funny, but he was really sweet, and I feel like that's the thing. He's really,
it made
really
Emily
sweet.
cry when he gets picked on by the bully.
When he does get picked on. There's another moment with the two of them where Bobcat Goldthwait tells a story where it's he's telling a story about a little... He's a little fat kid, and he used to talk funny, and he would get made fun of all the time. And then the other guy's like, "Was that you?" And he's like, "No, but I used to beat him up, and I would say, 'Why are you so fat? Why are you so fat?'" Which that part, that phrase when he says that. So remember when everyone started to get their own home computer,
yes.
One of the fun things that you could do was make audio files, and then you could have those audio files when you turn the computer on, it could do something. Mm-hmm. So we had one that my brother's best friend John McGrody made.
Okay.
And he said that which was very, very funny and what I think of. So
Okay.
yeah, John McGrody, very, very funny.
So do you want to talk?
But I want to talk about the other thing that we
okay.
discovered was that Kim thinks it's funny when dogs act like people. I've never seen you laugh harder. First of all, Kim laughed so hard at Bobcat Goldthwait throughout this movie. Like, he delighted. I just watched as she was delighted by Bobcat Goldthwait, and it made me so happy. And then there's a scene with there's so many just like throwaway moments that are so funny throughout.
Random jokes just thrown in throughout.
Yes, random jokes thrown in throughout. So in one scene, they take a dog to a vet. There's a dog dressed up as a doctor pushing a wheel, like standing on his hind legs, pushing a wheelchair with a cat in it that's like sick. And Kim laughed so hard.
It's very funny because it's so just extra. It's just an extra joke that's just for those people that are paying attention. And I feel like I've never seen it before when I watched this movie. So I really liked it.
I don't even think it was that funny. I just think you laughing at it was the funniest part to me.
I'm still laughing at it.
It's pretty great. It was great. What other things did you stand out to you from this movie?
Well, I feel like some other funny things are like the dad of the rich kid, Teddy's dad, is they're these eccentric millionaires or rich people.
Correct.
And the first scene we see him in is where he's got a stethoscope on and he's holding it up to a pot of lobsters, and then they drop the lobsters in and he wants to hear the lobsters scream.
Yeah, so many funny moments. There's another scene early on in this movie that this was one of the things that, remember I was saying how I remember my sister telling me things about it, and that's my first entree to this movie. Mm-hmm. So I remember my sister telling me about the little girls who make the funny face, and then someone says, well, if someone hits you on your back when you're making a face like that, your face will stay that way.
Yeah, we'll definitely post a picture of this, but it's like kind of like where you like take your fingers and like stretch out your nose and your eyes and your mouth all together and make like a bleh face.
Yeah, so like your nose is up, your eyes are pulled down.
Yeah.
And this terrified me as a kid, and still, like, even watching it now, it's, like, so ugly looking and terrible. I hated it.
Well, they do get smacked on the back, and they do freeze that way, so they kind of look like they have, like, who noses.
It's so ugly. We will post a picture
Definitely.
of it. It looks like the pig man from Twilight Zone.
But we did determine, so one of Emily's big fears, one of the things she hates is tape face, which is if someone puts tape on their face to kind of skew their features.
We all know what tape face is. The thing I don't like about tape face is I don't like when someone surprises me with a tape face when I'm not expecting it. And I had to make a rule with my husband that he was not, like, early on when we moved in together, he's like surprised me, like scared me when I was coming out of the bathroom and he had tape on his face, and I got so mad about it and I hated it. And then they found out about it at my old job, and they scared me with a tape face, and everyone thought it was so fucking funny.
It was funny. It's still funny. I think it's funny that you're like, I just don't want to surprise tape face. If I'm sitting in front of someone watching them tape their face and they present it to me, I'm okay with it. But don't surprise me with it.
No, don't surprise me with a tape face. I ask for very few things, okay? So don't surprise me with that.
So
I know you haven't. That's why you're my best friend. And, the best investment is friendship.
One of the other themes that runs through the movie is, so they're on Nantucket for the summer, and there's a movie being filmed, which you don't really see much of that, except for the fact that they have this mechanical dolphin that swims around in the water, and the movie's called Foam 2, and it's about a giant dolphin with rabies that attacks a small town.
It's so funny. It's so very funny to me. All right. Some other things I wanted to talk about. Mm-hmm. As I was watching it, something I was thinking about was that it's about a shore town.
Yes.
And these are, the main characters don't live there,
right,
but they always go there because their grandparents live there.
Yes.
And I thought very much about us because we grew up in a shore town situation, but we lived there year round. But there were always people who would, every year they would come to town and then they end up becoming your friends.
We call them shoobies.
We call them shoobies, but not the ones that you get to be friends with.
Okay, sure.
We won't tell them we call
Not
them
to their face.
Not to their faces, of course.
Right.
But I did enjoy that. And I was also thinking to myself, a regatta plays a huge thing in this movie. I wonder why there was no regattas where we live. They don't have, do they do a regatta down here that we just don't know about? No. We don't sail.
We don't own boats. So no one felt the need to tell us because they were like, what are they going to do?
What are they going to do? They don't have a boat.
Right.
They're not going to be in it at all.
Right.
But yeah, it's very funny to me. Other things, that I thought were... Demi Moore is in this.
Yes.
And I don't think they could have made her look worse.
Yeah, I think it's very funny, and I kind of said this to Emily in the middle of watching this movie, that in this movie, Demi Moore is not the hot one, or the pretty one, or like the desirable girl, which is just asinine. Plus, because she has brown hair, I think.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's always... In fact, it's funny, I wrote something down about that, because it's like... I wonder if people are conscious of this when they're making these movies, where it's like, how many times in movies is the blonde-haired guy the bad guy? Mm-hmm. The blonde-haired girl is like the sexy pretty girl.
Yes.
But then the dark-haired people are more soulful, which both of us as dark-haired people, obviously that's true. We are more soulful.
You're very soulful.
That's what makes our hair brown.
Right.
The soul is all coming out in our hair.
That's right.
But yeah, I wonder if that's a conscientious thing that happens.
I assume when they're casting, there's something in the casting that's very much like this type of person, and that translates to brown hair or blonde hair.
I think so. Yeah, somebody must put that down in writing somewhere. Well, I always think of. You've seen the newer Rapunzel movie, Tangled?
Yes.
And I always, her hair's magical when it's blonde, Kim. But, what color does it turn when it's not magical anymore?
Oh, brown.
Yeah, I know. I know. We're going to take down the world. I also wanted to talk about the fact that there's a little girl in this movie. She's the little sister.
Yes.
She reminds me so much of your little sister.
I think that's very funny. You kept saying that.
Because I feel like I have an image. I mean, I have an image in my mind of your sister when she was young, because I feel like that the age of the little girl in this movie is probably about the age that your sister was when I first met her.
Probably, yeah. So my sister's 10 years younger than me. So when we were teenagers, she was
little. She was like 6,
7, 8. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I met her when she was like 6 years old. And in my mind, she was very much like this little girl.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're going to put up a side-by-side picture to show that they were this. In my mind, they're the same person. But I guess when I see a picture of your sister compared to this girl, I'll probably have to apologize to your sister. No. So I'm sorry.
It's fine.
Okay.
And then, the George, the guy whose house they're staying at, like it's his grandmom's house, and his uncle lives there.
Yes,
and his uncle is kind of just like a side story in all of this, because it doesn't really track back to the main story.
No.
But he's, sitting in this room all alone, listening to the radio, smoking cigarettes, and trying to win a contest on the radio to win $1 million. And every now and then we just flash back to him just being nuts.
Yeah. But it's funny, because remember we talked about how the director of this has gone on to be more in the animation world?
Yes.
This movie is it's almost like a real life enactment of an animated movie, because I feel like in an animation you can pack in so many little inside jokes, and you can have so many little side things happening, and that's kind of part of the fun of an animation, and this movie kind of reminded me of that.
Yeah, it's very interesting to me too to think about, if we talked about this beforehand, and I remember it being somewhat silly, but at the same time, if you were thinking about it in terms of all the other movies you were watching, you'd very much remember it as this love story, this, you'd have a soft spot for it because you felt like it was this tale of love, this tale of like teenagers falling in love over the summer. But watching it now, it's
not
that's minor.
That's minor. No, the heartwarming part of this is the Stork brothers.
Yes. And also just the, and it's just it's a silly, silly movie.
Yes, and I feel like you think of John Cusack, like, oh yeah, John Cusack. He's very, like, scrawny in this movie.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you something. Real talk? Joel Murray, a little hot in this.
Yeah.
Like, if I had to make out
with one of
them, I'd be hanging, like, Joel Murray just seemed like more fun.
Booger second.
You said that. You were a little too quick on the draw with that one. All right, we're going to go out. Okay, you pick Booger. You're going to go out with Booger. I'm going to take Joel Murray. And John Cusack's going to, like, be moody in a corner.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think we'll have fun.
It'll be great.
So, Joel Murray, if you're out there...
Yeah.
Hit a girl up. Hit a girl up. Let's make sure we follow him on the podcast for sure. Another thing that was funny to me, in this movie, the song "Born to Be Wild" is played quite a bit, and that I had this, like, crazy flashback to something I've not thought about in many, many, many years. So growing up, we have a Great Adventure in New Jersey.
We do.
So we would go to that Great Adventure for different things. And
it was like a field trip.
It was like a field trip. And in high school, we went there for, was it Key Club?
Maybe.
Something like that.
Yeah,
like some kind of,
right.
Something like that.
Key Club.
We were trying to get into college. I don't know. They told us to do it. I don't even know what it was. I remember going, but I don't think I did any community service. No, I collected cans. I did some stuff for, like, I collected canned goods.
I think I went Christmas caroling. Is that a community service? I'm not a very good singer.
That is a community disservice.
Yeah. I'm not a good singer, so I don't see how it served the community. But
no, not at all. I remember getting cans. But anyway, so at Great Adventure, they had, like, a thing where you could go in and you could do, like, karaoke, and they would record it.
Oh yeah, so like a video. Right? Or
it wasn't a video, it was a tape.
Okay.
So you would leave with a tape.
Yes.
So I remember going in high school and singing Born to Be Wild.
Why?
And no, I went on, like, 3 different occasions. I feel like I did Born to Be Wild once, Sweet Child O' Mine.
Sure.
And Satisfaction, as in I Can't Get No. But Born to Be Wild. And it's funny because it's like I know every word. I was like, why does this song stick out to me? Why do I know every word of this song? And I was like, oh, there exists a tape somewhere
of you singing,
of me singing this song.
If only we could find that.
I hope that can never be found, because it's probably so bad, so bad. Any other things that I don't know, that you enjoyed about this film?
I enjoyed everything about this film. I liked that the place that the girls sang music was called the Dewdrop Inn.
Yeah.
It's clever. Very clever.
It was clever. And the big thing in this movie is where they do that animation.
At the drive-in.
At the drive-in.
Yes.
I remember loving
Me
that
too.
part.
That's what I think about, like, when I think about the love story aspect of things. Like, he did this thing. He went out on a limb for her and made this animation and then showed it at the drive-in so she could get people to come to her show.
Yes.
Even though the people at the drive-in were not happy about it.
Nobody was happy.
And would not come to the show.
No. The clothes in this are pretty great.
Yeah, it's very peak 80s, like polo shirts, popped collars, and a lot of linen.
Yeah, well, I guess they're in Nantucket, so that's just what they do. And it was, you had talked about, like, class struggles, and that is a big part in this, where it's like the rich kid doesn't work, right, and the rich girl, Cookie, she doesn't work either. Can I tell you, that's my favorite line in the whole thing. This is why Joel Murray is so hot, because at the end he's like, Cookie, when are we going to stop messing around? And then they just smooch, and I'm like, yeah.
You are a cookie.
I know, I am a cookie.
Yeah, so basically the rich kid, Teddy, is threatened that if he does not win this regatta and if he does not do well in this race, that his punishment is that he's going to have to work.
He's going to have to work. And for some strange reason, his grandfather, like, every year they have to do the regatta, and if they don't win, the grandfather just takes all the money away from his kin, like his son and his grandson, his kin, his kith and kin.
Go on.
But what a weird thing.
Yeah, and they made it a big thing at the end, like that they have to win this regatta trophy so that they can trade it back for Cassandra's family's home. And the trophy, like, I expected the trophy to be like some gorgeous, like, beautiful trophy. It was like a tall bowling trophy. It was not a good trophy.
No, it was not a good trophy. But it just went with the whole ridiculousness of this entire movie, which I gotta say, I was thinking to myself, could people of today watch this movie and love it?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, there were a couple problematic instances. I mean, there's a lot of jokes about fatness.
Sure.
There's jokes about, like, on the beach and stuff like that. Like, the one guy basically gets stuck under a chair twice with a larger gentleman above him.
Who's eating a giant can of chili.
Right. So we assume he's, like, farted into a coma or something like that. Right? Isn't that what we're to assume? The ambulances and the EMT have to come because this man was eating chili above his head and farted in his face so much that he just passed out.
Listeners are really going to get to, they're like, these people I can't believe the things they think are funny.
I know.
Farts.
I know.
And dogs dressed up as doctors. They're like, we can't listen to these people anymore. They don't have good opinions on anything.
It doesn't take much. But I will say I'm a little sad that I was the first one to say fart on this podcast.
Oh my God. Yeah. That was really, really funny. A lot of girls in very high hip, like, what would you call that cut? Like high cut bathing suits?
Yeah. French cut.
Is that what it is?
That they used to call it that?
Yeah. I always think of like that. There was a lot of attention on the bikini line when we were growing up. Like, remember it was like Nair for your bikini line.
Yes.
I remember being like, what is a bikini?
Yeah,
What is that?
This is why all girls our age shaved way too early.
Yeah.
Because there was a lot of focus on being hairless on, like, the legs.
Yes, a lot of focus on being hairless on the legs.
Sorry, guys. This is the worst episode so far. We're just laughing the whole time.
It's so great. Oh my gosh. You guys have to watch this movie. I hope that it delights you as much as it delights us. But yes, a lot of hair on the legs. We wear short shorts. Right. Remember that was a thing?
Yeah.
Nair for short shorts. Did you ever use Nair?
I did.
What is it? Because it's like glass, like burns your skin and melts your
like
hair.
Glass.
It's like there's something in it.
Yeah, no, it's terrible. It smells really bad.
Yes.
And you have to leave it on your legs or wherever for a very long time.
When you say wherever, we know what you're talking.
And you leave it on there and it stinks and you just have to, like, stand there and not touch anything.
And it burns.
And then you go into the shower and all of your hair just, like, clumps off.
It, like, melts off of your body.
Yeah. And then there's always parts that don't quite come off.
So you look kind of like a burn victim.
Right. Yeah.
It's why, see the things that they put girls through. It's just not cool.
No.
Girls, just full bush it and don't worry about it.
Whoa. I'm not promoting full bush. What I will say is, your mom's listening to this. I will say,
that you don't promote full bush.
I do.
We're going to take this and we're going to put it out on the internet for the world.
We just had an episode where you talked about little penises for a really long time, so I think I get to have this.
You can have full bush, Kim. You get it. Okay, sorry guys. We're sorry. This movie has obviously.
Well, here's a little insight. We mixed up our recording time. Now it's late.
Oh yeah, that's true. This is different. It's different. Okay, guys, you see what happens when we're up this late, and this late. By this late, I mean it's fully 7:30 at night.
7:30, guys.
Obviously, we can't be up this late. Okay.
All right, so
we've gone so many places with this movie.
Let's bring it back.
Okay, let's bring it back. So, does it hold up?
I think for the most part it holds up. There's certain parts that do not.
I'm sorry, guys. This is what it's like. This is what it's like being friends with Kim and I. We get on a laughing thing. Okay.
Would you recommend this movie to other people?
Yeah,
Obviously,
so
yes.
much. Oh my gosh, everyone listening to this podcast right now, people of the world, you can go on Amazon Prime and you can rent it, or you can go on Tubi.
Yeah, Tubi.
And you can watch it for free.
Just a few commercials.
Just a few commercials, but totally recommend that you guys watch this because it is great. It's a great summer movie. Go watch it now and have a great time with it. So, Yay.
I think we have to get close to wrapping it up. Do you have a Spader before
I do. So, okay, let's talk about Spader. I feel like, first of all, we need a name for this segment.
Okay.
Like, it can't be 6 Degrees of Spader. I feel like it needs some, like, Spader time or something. So if anyone listening to this can think of a good name, just give us some suggestions because, we have decided that this is a thing. Quite honestly, I don't care if anybody likes it.
Yeah,
I like it.
I know. I get to post a picture of peak Spader every week.
So hot. Oh my God.
Yeah, we'll get into that at some point.
Okay, but anyway, so this is a direct connect. Ding, 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 ding. Direct connect.
Nice.
So John Cusack and James Spader were in a movie together. Okay. It's called True Colors.
Oh, okay.
It's like 1991.
I remember the title of that movie.
Yes. Never saw it.
No.
So I did a little deep dive on this movie. I'm never going to see it.
Okay.
It doesn't look that good. It was pretty much a flop. It cost like $20 million to make, and it made like $400,000 in the box office.
War?
No, like they're friends like from college. It was a little bit St. Elmo-y, but like definitely more serious. Where the two of them are friends from college. There's a girl in it who I think starts out with James Spader, but then maybe gets with John Cusack, and they're both lawyers. But then it gets kind of serious where they're running, like John Cusack's running for office and he's getting into some like shady business.
I'll watch that.
So the little tagline for it is lies, deceit, betrayal. It's what friendship's all about.
I thought friendship was all about being the real investment.
Yeah, that too.
Okay.
So, but yeah, that True Colors movie doesn't look that great, but it's a direct connect. So yeah,
right, that's great.
Yeah.
So thank you guys for listening to this messy episode. We love you all. We appreciate you all. Make sure, if you're not already, that you're following us on Instagram at Confidently Controversial. We also have a TikTok because we're so young and hip, or a Tim Tom, as I like to call it.
Don't tell them that.
And our TikTok is at Confidently Contro, CONTRO. You can send us emails.
You can also make sure that you follow us. We know a lot of you are listening to our episodes.
Yes, please.
But give us a follow. Give us a little like and review us.
And I know it's easy just to push 5 stars, but we are people that need your positive feedback. This is how we live. This is how we thrive. This is what lets us sleep at night. So, say something.
Yes.
We would love to hear it.
We would love to hear from you, and we love you guys so much, and thank you so much for listening and being a part of this and for watching our show. And now, without further ado, let's cut to the music. I want to hear some Mark Cantone.
Woot, woot.
Confidently controversial. Confidently controversial.